2 weeks ago. Man, I'm kind of getting nervous about Pokemon Go. I mean, all the playtesters are saying it's only got the first 150 Pokemon, they say the server constantly crashes, and they say it causes your phone to overheat like crazy. Man, I was really looking forward to it, but I don't know at this point, man. This might just be a huge letdown. 2 weeks later. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. The story of me and you. You teach me and I'll teach you. God, that phone is hot. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, so there are a couple of problems with it. But still, Pokemon. Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Game Room, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about video games. And if you've watched this channel for a while, then you know that Pokemon is one of my favorite game franchises of all time. So when they announced Pokemon Go, and they showed us that trailer for it, I had some pretty positive feelings for it.
My emotions! My emotions!
Okay, maybe I'm underselling it a bit. I lost my mind when I saw that trailer. This was it. This was the dream I had had ever since I was a kid. A game that would turn the real world into your own Pokemon adventure. And now that it's come out, yes, of course, it's not like that trailer. We all knew it wouldn't be. But is it still good? Is it still making that dream come true? Only one way to find out. Here's our review of Pokemon Go. For anyone who doesn't know, Pokemon Go is an augmented reality game where it maps out the streets and locations around you, then plants Pokemon all around for you to go out and catch. And as you catch them, you can level up, and the more you level up, the more powerful and rare Pokemon you can find. This sounds great! As I've said, this is the thing that I've dreamt about since I was a kid. That's amazing! Yeah, here are all the problems with it. I know, why am I starting off with the negatives? Well, because unlike most things I review where I like to soften the blow and start with the positives, with Pokemon Go, you'll run into the negatives almost immediately, and in all honesty, you've probably already heard everyone else complain about these things already, so let's just run through them real quick. The character customization is almost non-existent. There is practically no instructions on anything. If you want to know how to play this game, you have to find the info in the menu, and even then, it's pretty poor. It's only got the first 150 Pokemon, the gym battles are weak compared to the regular games, trading and battling with your friends isn't part of the game yet, and the connection constantly drops and freezes. There, I think I covered it all. But in all honesty, none of that really bothers me. Yes, the customization needs work, but I'm sure that they'll upgrade that later. Yes, you need a guide to understand any of this, but you can find those all over YouTube. The gym battles are poor and I wish they'd improve on it, but I still find myself having fun taking down an opponent's gym. Trading isn't there yet, but it is coming soon. I wish they would include all 700 plus Pokemon, but if you wanted to get those original fans back into the game who haven't played in 20 years, yeah, only having the first 150 is actually the smartest way to do that. You would actually probably scare off a lot of those old fans if the first Pokemon they ran into was one that they had never ever seen before. And as for the constant crashes and freezes and drops, listen, I feel your pain. I do. I've lost my fair share of Pokemon to badly timed freezes. Cue montage. Hello darkness, my old friend. The screen is frozen once again. Thanks to you, I lost my Pikachu. Now I sit here feeling kind of blue. And watching the screen, still frozen. Yeah, I've lost a lot to this game thanks to the crashes and freezes. However, guys, this game is insane. The scale of this game is massive. The very concept of it sounds like something out of science fiction. There really is no way to test this until it actually comes out, so let's call it what it is. We're all just playing the beta right now. And I know you might say, yeah, but they had playtesters. Yes they did, but they gave it out to about 1,000 people in America, and there are 1,000 people playing this thing right now within a 10-block radius of me. There was no way to fully test this thing without actually launching it, and I have to hand it to Niantic. They've been hard at work to repair all the damage, and it shows. Every single day that I load this thing up, it runs a little bit smoother. You can actually see them making improvements. Well,
Aside from when the whole system went down a few days ago for about 12 hours, or that whole 3-step glitch that's driving everyone completely crazy. Okay, fine. The game still has a long way to go. I'll admit that. But they're working on it, so I'm gonna give them a break. So yes, there are those problems, but what about when the game isn't crashing and making you pull your hair out or just leaving out very obvious things like, instructions? What then? Then does it truly capture the spirit of Pokemon? Is it a fun experience? Honestly, yeah, it is. But the crazy thing is, it's only partly thanks to the game itself. The rest of what makes this game amazing is coming from everyone who is playing it. It is fun going out there and finding Pokemon, and as a longtime fan, I'll admit it's probably just my nostalgia kicking in, but I did genuinely get chills when a Pokemon would pop up. And being able to look through the camera and see them standing right there in the real world and being able to take pictures of it adds a whole new layer to that experience. And the game actually inspires you to go out and hunt these little guys. They provide you with a map that shows you roughly how far away each Pokemon is from you, and you can tell if you're going further or closer as you move. And they made sure to put specific Pokemon in specific locations, which actually encourages you to go out and explore, and some of them make lots of sense. Like in my neighborhood, I run into lots of common, normal type Pokemon, but if I go into the city, then I run into lots of electric type Pokemon because that's where all the big bright lights and signs are. For example, I can't find any Magnemites in my neighborhood, but if I go into Midtown, then they're everywhere. Or for some reason, there's always a Voltorb in Times Square. Wait, now that I think about it, hey Niantic, why did you think it would be a good idea to put the round exploding Pokemon in Times Square? That seems a bit odd. I'm just going to pretend like it has something to do with the New Year's Eve ball being located there. That makes sense, right? And some of these locations are really interesting, and for a Pokemon nerd like myself, it actually causes me to make up a lot of lore about the real world and how it could relate to Pokemon. Like, I live close to a park and I had yet to run into any Jigglypuffs, but the day I visited the park, they were everywhere. You know that if this was a Pokemon game and you found a spot overloaded with fairy-type Pokemon, there'd be a story behind it. I know it's silly, but it's fun to think about stuff like that. And if you can't find a certain Pokemon anywhere, you can at least go out searching for old Pokemon to capture them for candies that will allow you to power up your old ones or evolve them so that you can create stronger Pokemon. Or just go for a walk so that your eggs can eventually hatch after you've traveled a certain distance, so that way you can get a random Pokemon you might not encounter in the wild. I've gotten some of my rare Pokemons just by being lucky with a 10-kilometer egg. Also, I should point out that this game is teaching me the metric system, which is something that my school never could. And while you're out there in the world, you'll find gyms, and as I said, they're not quite as special as the gyms in the main games. You just tap on the screen to attack or swipe left or right to try and avoid an attack. It's simple, but I'll admit the simplicity does make it a tad addictive. And I'll admit the way that the gyms are structured is actually kind of clever. You can add your Pokemon to a gym of the same color as long as its level is high enough in order to build up its defenses. If its level is not high enough, you can train at the gym by battling the Pokemon that are already there in order to increase its level. And you can battle gyms of different colors in order to make them lose levels. And whenever a gym loses a level, its weakest Pokemon is dropped off the team. If you can make their team go all the way down to 0, then that gym becomes unclaimed, and you can then put one of your Pokemon there in order to claim it for your team. It's actually a pretty cool idea, so I'll admit that while the combat is lacking, there is still something clever behind it. And speaking of encouraging you to go out and explore, there are stops everywhere called Pokestops, located at landmarks or points of interest that give you equipment and Pokeballs whenever you go and visit them. And honestly, this has actually made me more knowledgeable about my neighborhood. There are 2 historical houses on my street that I never knew about, and I've actually started looking into them to learn more about them. Now again, I should probably let everyone know that I live in a very populated area, so there are many points of interest here, and I know that for some people living way out in the middle of nowhere, this might be a little bit disappointing because you probably won't have that much to find. So, I don't know, write your congressman and ask them to declare more national landmarks in your area? But I cannot stress enough to you how incredible this is. This is a game that not only gets me to go out and exercise, but also makes me smarter and more aware of my neighborhood as a reward. I'm not kidding. This game is shocking how much it inspires people to actually go out there and do something. I've heard jokes about how this game is finally getting people to go out there and exercise, but honestly, Yeah, it is, and that's great, but it's more than that. It's getting people to go out and interact. It's building a community. It's getting people who suffer from anxiety or agoraphobia to finally have a tool to help them go out there into the world. And it's causing total strangers to connect and come together. I know it sounds like I'm building this up to be something bigger than it is, but honestly, I'm not. Every time I go out and play Pokemon Go, random strangers and I get into conversations about it because everyone is playing it and we all want to talk about it. I've been trying to capture a gym and had people cheer me on as they looked over my shoulder. I've heard someone in a group say, "There's a Squirtle here," and everyone around me pulled out their phones and started comparing who got it. Heck, I was in the park trying to find a Bulbasaur, and a random stranger just saw me with my phone out and he told me where to find it because we are all playing this and we're all in this together. This game has made the entire world come together and actually bond over something, and I know it's silly to say this, but that's kind of what I love about geeky stuff. It's the power to bring people together. And when the world has been so hectic and stressful over the past couple of weeks, it's kind of nice to have something out there doing just that, even if it is just a Pokemon phone game.
Pokemon Go, despite all of its flaws, is still an amazing experience for Pokemon fans old and new, but beyond that, it's a game that's actually creating positive change out there in the world. It's a game that's actually getting people to go outside, to socialize, to exercise, and it's getting people with anxiety who might never have been able to go outside to actually do just that. It's a game that actually is leaving a positive imprint on the people who have played it. That's amazing, and beyond that, it's actually done the impossible. It's a game that has gotten me to stop playing Overwatch. That's about right. So with that, I'm giving Pokemon Go my score of 1 Pokemon theme song being played through a bad internet connection.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever.
You know how much that nostalgia hits you, how hyped you are, how much you feel like you can do anything when you hear that original Pokemon theme song come back on? This game gives you that. Just every now and again it has to stop to buffer.
Alright, thanks for watching my review everyone, and if you like this and you want to see more videos from me on everything from the world of geekery, whether it be video games, movies, comics, or more, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Also, over on my Let's Play channel, which I am slowly but surely getting up and running again, I went out and made a video of myself and Michelle going out on a Pokemon catching adventure in the park. So if you want to see that, then make sure you click it right here. But for now, thanks for watching everyone, and come back next time.